And now, I'd like to bring on our special guest. He's Martin Quezada. He is a representative in the Arizona House of Representatives. Martin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lou. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you.
Welcome,
yes. As you know, this is the world's first Jewish Chicano radio show. So my first question to you is, do you consider yourself a Chicano?
Yeah, Lou, absolutely. I would definitely say that I've called myself a Chicano for many, many years now.
Right. But there are some people who don't accept that term, and they reject it or they don't understand it.
Well, Lou, I think there's a lot of people who don't completely understand why individuals like myself call themselves Chicanos. But yeah, there are some that still don't completely understand it and that do reject it. But I think I know I'm a proud Chicano. I know many of the people I associate with consider ourselves proud Chicanos, and we're proud of our history and our culture and what we're doing with this.
I'd like to ask you this. This is just your opinion, just your view. How would you answer this question? Do you think that in Arizona there's anybody who speaks on behalf of the Mexican-American community? Is there anybody that you think does?
Well, Lou, that's a great question. And I think in our community, we have to first recognize that we have such a broad and such a diverse community that Latinos, Chicanos aren't going to have one individual who they turn to be our spokesperson. We're going to have many. And I think that we are fortunate that we do have many who, from different perspectives, from different backgrounds, do speak for us on different levels. And I can go through and mention a few of those for you. At the legislature, one of the ones that comes to mind is our Senator Steve Gallardo, who a lot of people turn to on Latino issues. We've got other members in the legislature, like Representative Sally Ann Gonzalez from Tucson, who's a strong advocate for Latino issues. And then other elected officials at different levels. At the county, I know Supervisor Mary Rose Wilcox has taken a strong role on Latino issues. And then we've got community activists, people out in their community talking to neighborhoods, talking to voters, registering voters. People like Petra Falcon with Promise Arizona, Raquel Terán even has taken a strong role. In education, there are people who have strong policy backgrounds and speak out about the way that our education policy affects Latino children. There are strong people like Mr. David Garcia, who's one of the strongest policy education people out there, and who knows a lot about the way our state laws affect Chicanos.
You can call and ask Martin Quezada, Arizona Representative Martin Quezada, a question at 602-277-5369 or at 1-866-536-1100. Again, locally, that's 602-277-5369. So thank you for that answer. You're a newly elected representative in the House. You're an attorney. What made you decide to get into politics?
Lou, that's an interesting question as well. I think what happened with me is I saw a window of opportunity, and I saw an opportunity to get involved at a time when I thought my community needed help, and I thought that I had an opportunity to enter into this arena and make a difference. And I know that those windows are few and far between. I saw it and I jumped at it. What I saw going through my education and through my professional experience was that our community needs a lot of help, and there's not a lot of people who are providing that help. And that's why I wanted to get involved.
And you're interested in education. I remember speaking with you last year. You were very interested in education, and you believe in doing the right thing, and you're almost, I don't want to say untouchable, but do you still feel as though doing the right thing is the most important thing?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. If you're not doing the right thing, if I've seen many politicians who get into office and become persuaded by outside interests, by outside lobbyists, by money, and when that happens, you need to get out. And so,
speaking of which, I understand that ALEC has been showing up lately in the legislature, and that you're keenly aware of this. What would you like to tell us about that?
Well, not just lately, Lou. ALEC has been around at the legislature for many, many years, and their influence at the legislature is heavy. It is a strong influence, and the community really needs to be more aware about what organizations like ALEC are doing in legislatures, not only here in Arizona, but throughout the country. It's a very dangerous influence, and it's caused a lot of harm. A lot of the bills that have been passed in Arizona are ALEC bills.
Right.
What type, Martin? What type of legislation has ALEC helped foster through the system here in Arizona and around the country?
At least lately.
At least lately, yes.
Well, ALEC's influence at the legislature covers a broad range of topics. So every subject area at these ALEC conferences, they have lobbyists who come in and they draft legislation for attendees at these conferences. At these conferences where those legislators are wined and dined, they are treated like royalty. And then at the end of the day, they're provided a sample legislation where they say, here, we would love it if you ran this bill in your state legislature. And that's exactly what happens. Those many examples of legislation are exact copies of what ALEC has on their website as model legislation.
Have you ever been invited to one of these conferences?
I have not been invited to one of these conferences, but even if I had, I could attend because these are open to all legislators. But it's those that choose to go.
Right.
And I have chosen not to go. I will never attend one of these conferences.
I'd like to ask you something. You're Chicano, you're Mexican American. There's a segment of the Mexican American population all across the United States that doesn't quite trust President Obama because of the record number of deportations. Okay, so I'd like you to address that. 1 million deportations so far. So what would you say to those people who are angry at Obama for deporting all these people?
Well, again, that's the politics of being in office. There are efforts that need to be made on both sides of this immigration issue. Those numbers of deportations are big, and people are upset about that for a good reason. And a lot of people aren't aware of that. There's some valid concern there for the number of deportations that have been happening lately. The way to address that is to ask, why are those deportations happening? Are those the right people that are being deported? And are these policies serving our country well? And that's what we need to figure out.
Are these policies serving our country well?
Well, right now, our immigration policy is broken. So the answer is no. Our immigration policy is simply not working. And for us to continue to feed it, for us to continue to live under this policy is hurting our nation as a whole. I do believe that.
Okay, well, you're in the thick of things. And you heard the first part of the program all about the Boston bombings and the after effect of people who are now considering the new Gang of Eights immigration plan in Congress. They want to put a hold on it. They want to stall it because they think that it's either not good enough or they're just convinced that no immigration plan to allow anybody to come in is going to serve America. It's a matter of fear and scare and paranoia. What's your quick answer on that?
Quick answer to that's a delay tactic, and it's a tactic for us to not accomplish comprehensive immigration reform.
Right. What do you? But it seems as though the right wing is exploiting these bombings in order to.
That's exactly what they're doing. This is an exploitation of a travesty that happened in our nation, and they're connecting these two issues where there should be no connection at all.
How can we exploit them back?
How can we exploit them back? We can be smarter than that, and we can say that there is no connection, and we need to get comprehensive immigration reform accomplished now.
Yes.
And you can be smart too to call 602-277-5369 and ask Martin Quezada a question right after this.
Welcome back to Talkback Live. I'm Santiago, and we're talking to Martin Quezada, a Arizona legislator and lawyer. And I kind of wanted to follow up on a question that we touched on earlier about leadership in the Latino/Chicano community, both nationally and locally. Do you feel that there's anybody ready to step up nationally and or locally? I know you mentioned some local people who have really stepped up. You mentioned some of the nonprofits that have done an excellent job in providing leadership for our community. But how do you feel, and who do you see the next step of leadership needs to take for our community?
You know, Santiago, leadership is an interesting concept. And I think the reason why we haven't been able to find a real strong Latino or Chicano leader in the country is because people are trying to do just that. They're trying to be Latino or Chicano leaders. And instead of taking that approach, they should just try to go out there and do the right thing and fight for their community and fight for those issues. And by default, they will become Latino or Chicano leaders. And I think that's the biggest problem that I've seen, is people trying to be leaders, I want to be that leader, and try to claim that title. It's when those people get in there and they just start fighting for the issues. Those are the ones that are naturally going to be leaders. Those are the ones that we are naturally going to flock to and support.
Well, this is a good opportunity. I mean, after all, the bombings, and now you got all these people, these right-wing people are casting aspersions on people who have dark skin. You know, this is they're taking the opportunity to diss Chicanos, man. And I don't have to be Chicano to feel the diss, okay? Everybody in this room, everybody in the world should understand and feel that the right wing is opportunistic and just dissing people of color. And, you know, I got news for you, in case they don't know, is the majority of Americans have color, have culture, come from someplace else. So I think this is an opportunity. So do you see anybody coming forth and taking the opportunity to be heard and fight for the issues, and naturally then therefore be assigned as leader? I've seen Steve Giardo locally come forward. He came up with SB 1071 to repeal SB 1070. I thought that was a brilliant move. Mm-hmm. I'm expecting a brilliant move out of you, Martin Quezada, Arizona representative.
Well, that's been my focus, Lou, is I'm trying to not try to be the leader, but just try to fight for those issues. And Senator Gallardo is a strong example of one that does that. We've got some nationally as well. We've got a couple of a couple of leaders nationally from Texas, in particular, Joaquin and I can't remember
Joaquin Castro.
Joaquin Castro, and I can't rember his brother's name at the moment. It's another
Julian
Castro.
Right.
Some young, strong leaders who are doing the right thing.
You know, to me, I respect you. I see you are a leader, and this is your opportunity here on this show, right here and now, to denounce Jan Brewer for denying driver's license to deferred action students, to denounce Jan Brewer, even though it happened a couple years ago, for signing SB 1070 in the law and riding on the coattails of something that really just a small minority are getting behind. So this is your opportunity to denounce what has been and suggest a new path, a new courseway.
Well, I've been denouncing those actions ever since I got into office. So absolutely, I do denounce that. It is completely unacceptable that we are taking steps to deny young people who are trying to contribute to our society the opportunity to have a driver's license and get to and from work and get to and from school. That's completely unacceptable, and that absolutely should not happen here in the state of Arizona.
Give me a one-word response to the following. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Shoot.
All right. Jeff Flake.
Disappointment.
Don Shooter.
Embarrassment.
Tom Horn.
Unethical.
All right. Oh, my goodness. And now.
What about John McCain?
John McCain. What do you think of John McCain?
Flip-flopper.
Flip-flopper. All right. 602-277-5369. That is one word after all. Flip-flopper. Flip. You know, some people might think, that it's two words. It's got more than one syllable to it. Flip-flop. Because flip is a word.
There's a hyphen.
And there's a hyphen in there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Flip is a word and flopper is a word. But no, because John McCain is a flip-flopper, he needs a double word, single word description. I'm very, very disappointed. Finally, I'd like to ask you this question, among other questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Besides trying to make a difference in the community, what else do you do?
Well, I practice law. That's what I do as my profession when I'm not at the legislature. And I think in a lot of ways that's also trying to make a difference in my community, but at a different level. At the state, you try to do it for the entire state, for entire communities. But as an attorney, you do that for an individual, one person at a time.
And are you helping out the students who are applying for deferred action?
Absolutely. My doors are open to help those children or help those students submit their applications and to get them the relief they need.
Tell us how people can find you.
They can contact me at my law office. My number is 602-653-0437, and I would love to hear from you and help you out.
And we would love to hear from you right now in the few minutes we have remaining. You can call up and actually ask Martin Quezada a question at 602-277-5369. If you wish.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I think Santiago has a concern or a question, and he'd like to ask you something. Unless I'm wrong. Okay. Then in that case, let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. You know, Martin, I know you're a politician, but you're a person of a great integrity, I've discovered, and someone who thinks things out very well. What do you think of the Gang of Eight's immigration plan?
You know, Lou, I think what we need to focus on right now is that the fact that we actually have a plan on paper, a place to start this discussion, is a huge accomplishment. And that's what I'm happy about, that we actually have a starting point for this discussion and a starting point for this debate. This is not a final plan right now in place. It's a beginning of a discussion. And I'm really thrilled that we actually have a starting point.
Then let's begin discussing it a little bit. I don't like the idea of 13 years.
Oh, yeah, no, 13 years. Well, first of all, the fact that we actually have a pathway to citizenship in the first place, again, huge accomplishment. The fact that it's 13 years, that's a little bit troublesome. Those are some of the things that we need to work out and we need to change a little bit, modify. But the fact that there is a pathway at all, I think it sets the tone of where this thing is going to be headed.
In 1917, Puerto Ricans were given almost an instant pathway. And then they were able to be conscripted in the military. In 1966, the Cubans were considered political refugees. And in a stroke of his pen, President Johnson passed the Cuban Readjustment Act. Why not something for all of the Mexican immigrants? That's my question.
Well, I think one of the reasons is, and it's unfortunate, is that we live in a different political environment right now. There's a political environment where that's just not going to happen. But in addition to that, I think our community, we don't want handouts. We've never asked for handouts coming into this country. We want to earn citizenship. My community wants to earn it, and they're willing to earn it.
Yes.
Martina, a real quick question. Even if it had passed in the Senate, immigration reform, do you believe that there was any form or that it could have passed in the House?
Well, there's no introduction in the House yet, so this still has a long way to go.
And you know what? I want to thank you, Martin Quezada, for being here today on Phoenix Talkback. And that's all the time we've got. In the meantime, again, where can people find you? What's your number down at the legislature?
My number at the legislature is 602-926-5911.
Thank you, Martin Quezada, for being on today's show.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Santiago.
Thank you, Martin.